What's up, gamers? Matt again with That's Fair Podcasting, and I want to talk to you briefly about the current state that Ubisoft seems to be in. You got to go back to the earlier parts of 2024 when they released their first quadruple A, and not just theirs, but the, gaming industry's first quadruple A video game in Skull and Bones, to Star Wars Outlaws, and ultimately what was supposed to be, I believe, October or November. I think November of 2024 was Assassin's Creed, but it was delayed all the way out until, I believe, Valentine's Day of 2025. And with all these failures, and now with what is looking like pending layoffs or cost-cutting moves for Ubisoft, it begs the question, what's the future like for Ubisoft? It seems as of right now, the current state of Ubisoft looks rather bleak. I say that because you can go back to 2024 with Skull and Bones and the failure that it was. You have a title, the first quadruple A title, that cost them anywhere in the ballpark of $650 to $850 million to make this game. And I can guarantee you, with all the sales figures and everything, they have not got a return investment even close. That game bombed. It was so limited. I didn't order it or purchase the game, but I did play the beta, and I was just like, what in the pirate world shit is this? Which to me, that's exactly what it was dog shite. That's just my opinion. Before I continue, guys, if you are new to That's Fair Podcasting, if you do not mind perhaps subscribing to That's Fair Podcasting, maybe like the video. And if you don't do either one of those two things, that's okay. If you're sticking with me this long and you just decided to watch the video, that's what matters to me the most. It means the world to you guys, so thank you for joining me. And anyway, when we talk about back to Skull and Bones, their first, or the video game industry's first quadruple A video game, that game was horrible. I mean, the mechanics were nowhere near anything. It was laughable from what I remember playing it. Now, as I previously pointed out in other videos, once I start something and it sucks, it takes an awful lot for me to go back. I mean, Starfield was one example. I did go back. I might go back, depends. But, a Bethesda title. But with Skull and Bones, when I played the beta way back, I just was not impressed. The combat mechanics were decent, but that's really all I can say about that quadruple A title. I mean, there's not a lot to say about that. And it wasn't long after that, guys, if we're talking about the state of Ubisoft, I believe they were the ones that more or less were saying don't get comfortable owning your own games. Now, that is not a very good selling point to me, especially if you're trying to sell the next piece of crap that came along, which was Star Wars Outlaws. If you're going to tell me not to get comfortable owning the games, why the hell am I going to buy it? Especially when Ubisoft is pumping out games that really aren't even worthy of a AA. But I just can't see it. I couldn't get behind Star Wars Outlaws. Let's start with, obviously, the ugly-ass protagonist. Now, could I get past an ugly protagonist? Yeah, I guess. I used to do it with less pixels on the Nintendo 64. I mean, it's not like you had a lot of choices there, but you had horrible gameplay mechanics. You had this buggy mess. The stealth. I mean, then the stealth. And then the stealth. The gun selection, could you not keep guns? I mean, I can't tell you how much of a correction they've made. Again, going back to what I previously stated, when I put a game down because I don't like it, it takes a lot for me to pick it back up. Now, there are, different situations for different games, save for things like Cyberpunk that came out really buggy, but turned it completely around, made a masterpiece of a game, and I am pro Cyberpunk 100%. But you can't really compare. It's not fair to Cyberpunk to put that in the same sentence as Star Wars Outlaws, so CD Projekt Red, I'm sorry. But then you have it was just sloppy. It was just, and let's be honest, like Skull and Bones, the sales figures were obviously literally symbolic of what that game represented, and I believe Ubisoft said they were softer than expected, the sales. That's a gentle way of saying we made a piece of shite. And now, what was supposed to be towards the end of 2024, the last quarter anyway, was Assassin's Creed Shadows. Now, let's be honest, that game is lucky if they've maybe sold 2.7 million copies worldwide. Not good for a AAA Ubisoft company that is used to pumping out Assassin's Creed games that are very successful. Save for a few, well, especially Shadows. But let's be realistic, Assassin's Creed Shadow has not held up its end of the bargain. For one, let's go straight to Thomas Lockley, one of their historians or whatever, an author who wrote a book on Yasuke, which is a nice, fantastical book if you like fantasy. But there was nothing to support the claim, obviously, that Yasuke was an actual samurai. All documentation points to a retainer, unless you're Thomas Lockley and you change the wiki pages yourself to fit the narrative of the shit book you wrote. And then there is another one, Sachi Schmidt-Hori, I believe, was another consultant who wrote a book called Tales of Idolized Boys, roughly depicting boys with priests, adolescent boys, leaving that one alone. Like I have in the past few videos that I've covered this. It sounds as bad as it is because it is as bad as it is. We were so excited that Ubisoft was finally bringing this setting to Japan. I remember back in 2007 playing the original Assassin's Creed as Altair. And I remember thinking, and I remember telling my wife, God, if they can bring this to Japan, that would be the ultimate Assassin's Creed game. What do you get? You get a fantastical African-American samurai that's not really stealthy, not really keeping to the tradition of Assassin's Creed. And then you get Naue, you're forced on that because of the female shinobi, or kuniochi, which there's no text that proved kuniochi actually existed, female shinobi. They were all written in books for, more or less storytelling. And it was forced upon you to play these two protagonists. Now, again, 2.7 million sales, probably worldwide. Sure. If you were hoping to break 2 million, congratulations. Something tells me they needed to make about 7 million sales to even break even with the cost that it cost them to make this total piece of shit. All they could brag on was 3 million players. Show us sales numbers, Ubisoft. At this point, we're daring you. Show us sales numbers. Can you? Will you? No. But let's talk about Ubisoft and how I feel like at one brief period of time, they could have been the king developers in the video game world. You had a 2007's Assassin's Creed with Altair. Then you had the Ezio trilogy from Assassin's Creed 2 all the way to Revelations. Then you had Assassin's Creed 3 that brought the Native American badass Connor onto American soil. Then you had, to me, the pinnacle of Ubisoft, the best of the Assassin's Creed series, not necessarily financially, but popularity with Assassin's Creed Black Flag with Edward Kenway. And then after that, I believe you had Rogue and Unity launching at the same time. And then you had Assassin's Creed Syndicate. And then you had, I believe it was Origins. And then what started the RPG element with Assassin's Creed Odyssey in the Greek world. And then, which leads you to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, their most financially successful Assassin's Creed game to date, which I believe earned just over $1 billion for Ubisoft. And that's big money. That's big money. But where the hell are they going from here? Now you had Mirage, which I tried, didn't like, it didn't take, didn't keep it. And then I didn't even try with Assassin's Creed Shadows, thanks to our fellow badass reporters that we have, our YouTube channels, such as the Veridarks and Dr. Disasters and Hypnotics and those guys. But Ubisoft now is seemingly trying to save upwards of $110 million, and it's by making cuts. I believe thousands of people are going to ultimately be losing their jobs, is what it looks like. At least 2,000 jobs will likely, when the figures have been done up correctly, about 2,000 people on average with their salaries will make up about $110 million. Ubisoft's in a world of a mess right now. And what's funny is the media is trying to convince gamers that this is a good thing, because right now Ubisoft, I believe their next title will be Assassin's Creed Hex, which is supposedly bringing about the Salem witch trials back in that era. Very strong, pro-feminine type of game. They've already announced the fact that it's going to be woke as shite. Big surprise, it's Ubisoft. But they're pushing these titles back, and the media's trying to sell that as a good thing. They're trying to say, oh, it's a good thing that, they're pushing these titles back. Whatever their excuses are is a bunch of bullshit. You don't push titles back for a developing company unless you're not doing so hot. There's never a positive reason to push a game back unless you have the funds to back you, and you do plan on cleaning up a game that is probably absolute dog piss, which from here on out, I think that's all Ubisoft is going to be making. That's my opinion. But like I said, Assassin's Creed Hex is bringing magic into this, so that's going to be even worse. But Hex is to be basically about the witch trials, it seems like. Like I said, it's already been pegged full of woke shit. We have already known that it's going to be progressively diverse in a shitty way. Originally rumored to be in 2025's release, it's going to probably be pushed to 2026, if not 2027. Let's hope they can make some serious changes, because Tencent, I hope, kind of holds Ubisoft by the balls at this point. You have Yves Guillemot, I believe, the owner of Ubisoft, who is wanting to assume basically control of a company, even though he wants to sell it all off to ultimately Tencent, shares, whatever. It's a bailout, because I believe it was, $1 billion that Tencent gave Ubisoft as a bailout? Ooh, it's not looking good. What does this mean for Ubisoft ultimately moving forward is the question. Will they even listen to their gamers? God knows they should have listened to their gamers when it came to Assassin's Creed Shadow. Part of me was hoping that when they did the delay all the way into 2025, they were fixing it, giving you the same choice that, Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla gave you, with a gender choice for your shinobi. I mean, not body types, genders. And I was hoping that that's what they would do, but they didn't. They don't listen to their gamers. They don't give a shit. They've ignored everything they've been told, and they're reaping the benefits of their own ignorance. When will they continue, to make good games? Because it's been so long. Why are they continually pushing this progressive bullshit, this DEI pandering? It's in a shift now, guys. My last video, solo video, was the DEI shift. It's shifting, and they're not jumping aboard. I think Rockstar is. Look at their latest trailer with GTA. Anyway, have they even learned a lesson? That's another question that I have. And to me, and in my opinion, I ultimately think Ubisoft, the direction it's moving forward is going to be ultimately a 10-cent call. Their stock is still continually going down. It's just going to make it easier for Tencent to buy them out. Who knows how all that works? I just know that Tencent is laughing because the fallout that they're dealing with Ubisoft and not selling, I don't know. Anyway, guys, that's really all I have. I don't think they're moving in a positive direction, but that's really just my take on Ubisoft. It's disappointing. I was once a huge fan, I was pre-ordering every single Assassin's Creed. Now I won't wait for it to even be on sale. Thanks, Ubisoft, because you just ruined a wonderful franchise. Hopefully in the long run, Tencent can save you, if it's not too late. Anyway, guys, that's all I had. Thank you so much for listening. It really means the world that you even listen to the video. Please, again, subscribe to That's Fair Podcasting. Like the video to throw us out into that algorithm and keep us getting more and more clicks. Thanks for the subscribers that have jumped on. But guys, if you've just stayed with me, that's really what matters the most. And as I always say to you gamers out there watching me, all love to you, and I am outro.